I just picked up this Pinemeadow chipper. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. I have actually stayed away from chipping clubs in the past because I've thought they are unnecessary when you have a bag full of irons. But I have seen some people do some amazing things with these lately, so I picked up a couple chippers and I wanted to try them out. Now this one is Pinemeadow, and it's actually a brand that you know because I picked up some other clubs from them before. They are very inexpensive. This one is actually pretty interesting because I think it's pretty much a replica of the Odyssey Exact chipper, which was very popular. They're actually hard to find right now, and they sell for a pretty penny even used. Now there are some differences. It doesn't have that Teflon polymer insert on the front here. It has just a very polished front edge here, which I actually think looks really nice, but I think it's actually kind of counterintuitive because what you want usually here is a lot of grip so that you will spin the ball. A very smooth finish like this I think will reduce that spin, and especially when you're around the green I think you want a little, but you know, maybe you don't, to get a lot of roll, so that's very possible. You can see here that it kind of looks like a mallet style putter. We have a big trailing edge here, a couple lines, a dot here to line up to the shot, and we have this really offset hosel, which I think is almost unnecessary. But as I was thinking about it, if you drop the hosel down here, it's just another thing that can interfere with the grass, maybe get bound up or something. So by putting only the face here, maybe you're kind of reducing the tendency for people to kind of bury the head or chunk the shot. Steel shaft, standard grip. This looks almost like any other golf grip to me. You know, it's kind of like a tire tread pattern. It doesn't seem very high end, but it's Pinemedaw's own, but it doesn't necessarily look like a putter grip specifically, just kind of a golf grip. And this one is a 37 degree. I actually don't know if they make anything other than this loft here. And then obviously the nice little chrome T on the bottom, which you'll probably never see unless you're putting this in your golf bag. Now, one of the things that I have always been reluctant to do is buy a club like this. One, because they kind of stand out. They look like you're carrying two putters for some reason, and I didn't think they were necessary. But I was recently golfing with some buddies, and I noticed that we were all having trouble with those short chips, the ones where you want to run them up to the hole. And I think a big reason is the lie angle that golf clubs force you into. So here is an iron, and I would use this to chip a lot with, and as you can see here, when I put it down, I have to put it in this angle here. I can't toe it up or heel it up or anything like that, because then the club is going to send the ball in the wrong direction. So I'm kind of forced to put it like this. I'm forced to choke up on it, and there's not enough weight here, so you have to have really good hand strength to control it. In contrast, if I take this chipper and put it up here, this 70-degree angle on it allows me to creep up on the ball more. You can see how different that is, right? So that allows me to creep up on the ball more. I'm almost directly over the ball. It allows me to actually get a putting grip and use that putter movement as opposed to a golf movement. And there's a lot more weight on the club head, so it's going to actually help me. It's going to assist me in being more consistent through the shot. Now, this thing is actually pretty inexpensive, so if it does well around the green, I think it's an absolute steal. So let's get this out and hit some shots with it. All right, so I hit up the golf course with this, and these are the very first shots that I took with this chipper, and the rough was wet, long, and deep, and actually really tough. I think actually tougher than you would experience on most golf courses, you know, especially because of how wet everything was. But this thing got to the ball out very well. In fact, if I had been using a wedge, and you know, when you're using a wedge, it doesn't have the same weight on it, especially when you're choking up, and so the head feels pretty light, and that is what I think ends up leading to a lot of fat shots, a lot of dump shots, because you aren't used to kind of pushing the club head through all that grass. And so something like this with a lot of weight on the bottom, you just carry a lot of momentum naturally through the shot with just a putting stroke, which is really nice. The other thing I really liked about this is this really fat wide sole. I felt like it kind of cut through the grass a little easier than this shorter sole nasal club, and so I actually really like this big trailing edge. And what I would love to find is another chipper that maybe has a big trailing edge. It just kind of cuts through really nicely. Now, one of the things that I was talking about is this kind of chromed, polished face here, not getting a lot of grip on the ball, and not putting any backspin on the shot. And I think that is true. To me, I actually wouldn't mind a little backspin, because I felt like I was getting a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio on run versus carry. So if I was carrying this 3 feet in the air, I felt like it was running 12-15 feet beyond that. And that's because it's a 37 degree. There just isn't that much loft, even though it's fairly lofted. What you end up getting, you know, especially without backspin, is that it runs a long way. So what you need on this is, if you're trying to get over 3 or 4 feet of rough, you actually need a pretty good amount of the green available so that you don't run it past the hole and off the green on the other side. So to me, what I love is the big sole, but I would love more loft here. Otherwise, I think this is a great club. It really felt good in the hand. I definitely think this is a nice club, and for the price point, it's actually a great club. Now, to me, this one isn't going in my bag specifically because I want something with a little bit more loft so that I bring that ratio down in terms of flight to run. What I want is something that's a little closer to 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. I want the ball to actually sit a little bit quicker so that I don't end up overshooting the green. But I think this club is really nice. If you want to pick this up, like I said, I think it's under 40 bucks. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Peter from Panda, out.